Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Welcome to your online family. And thank you for studying Torah with us. We're going to be doing Torah Portion Mikeitz. And I hope I'm saying it right. Mikeitz. So, we are, before we do that, I'd like to dedicate this shiur in memory of Rav Bernstein and my mother, Iris Elizabeth Roque. And who would you like to dedicate this study session to? May their memories be for a blessing. Let's go. Okay, before you pick up your rotten tomatoes to throw at me, we do not have Rav Bernstein notes on this Torah Parsha, nor the next, because these Torah Parsha fall in the Hanukkah time frame, and so he talked on Hanukkah. So because of that, we're going to turn to our other rabbi, Rashi. So I'm just going to show you what I'm using. The Rashi series from Art Scroll. And then you can see this is Bereshit or Genesis. And yeah, so that's what I'll be using. I love this series because it's dedicated to both Rashi and basically it focuses on what Rashi used to come to his conclusions. It got some other little stuff in there, but so that's why I love this. And it's just a Torah portion. It's the 5 books, but you can get a Rashi Commentary from Art School for the entire Tanakh or Old Testament and Christianese, and that's going to be, you'll get the prophets and the writings. You can get the whole set. It's a blue set. I think you've seen me use it. It looks kind of like this, but it's blue. And in there you'll have Rashi and all kind of other rabbis to give commentary. So, but let's go. I wanted to wear a popped collar outfit for Joseph because apparently they said he was not beautiful but beautiful. So he was a good looking dude. We didn't get to cover all of that with Joseph because the Rav Bernstein notes had us focusing on a certain concept from the previous Torah portion. So you might feel like, oh, aren't we missing some? Yeah, we are, because Rav Bernstein really hones in on the parts of the Torah Parsha that's going to give us Christians or non-Jews or people that don't have Jewish training, that's really going to help us understand huge concepts that dictate how Hashem runs his world. So let's go. We're going to start in Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 41. And so I do have some notes over here, and so you're going to see me reaching all over the place, but don't worry about it. Let's go. So it happened at the end of 2 years, to the day, Pharaoh was dreaming that, behold, he was standing over the canal, which is another way for the Nile River. And when, behold, out of the canal, there emerged 7 cows of beautiful appearance and robust flesh, and they were grazing in the swamp. Then, behold, 7 other cows emerged after them out of the canal of poor appearance and gaunt flesh. And they stood next to the cows on the bank of the canal. And the cows of poor appearance and gaunt flesh ate the 7 cows of beautiful appearance and robust. And then Pharaoh awoke. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because when I was looking at the notes, it was amazing. They said the Nile, people used to make canals off the Nile. So essentially you can call it a canal of the Nile because it's coming off the Nile anyway, the canal. Okay, but interesting, in the Rashi, it makes you understand that, actually we have to read a little bit further to get that part. Let's see. Yeah. Let's continue on. I'm sorry. Let's continue on with the dream. And then the concept is like phenomenal. So on Pasuk 5, he fell asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears of grain were sprouting on one stalk, healthy and good. And behold, 7 ears, thin and scorched by the east wind, were growing after them. Then the thin ears swallowed up the 7 healthy and full ears, and Pharaoh awoke, and behold, a dream. This thing was so amazing to me. In the Rashi, it says, when he woke up, that's when it came together as a dream. The idea being the dream, the entire dream became complete before him, and when he woke up, and thus he required interpreters to help him to understand what it was, because when he woke up, it became a dream. Try to figure that one out nice and slow. Concept is phenomenal. Like, it's like he could understand it at the time, but then when he woke up, it came together and was like scrambled interference, and he needed help with it. Okay, hold up. Coffee time. Thank you for that little break. And it was in the morning, and his spirit was agitated. We're talking about Pharaoh. So he sent and he summoned all of the necromancers, people that play with dead people's bones and whatnot, all the necromancers of Egypt, and all its wise men, its hachamim. Pharaoh related his dream to them. So Pharaoh's not as mean as Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was like, yeah, nah, you tell me what I dreamt and tell me what it means. Pharaoh at least told them the dream. So Pharaoh tells them the dream, but there was no one who could interpret that dream for him. Then the chamberlain of the cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, and he said, my transgression do I mention today. And in the Hebrew, it actually is the word het, like I've sinned before you today. And Pharaoh, I gotta tell you how I sinned. Basically, this gentleman is telling Pharaoh. Pharaoh had become incensed at his servants and placed me. This is the cupbearer, the chamberlain of the cupbearer talking. He had placed me in the ward of the house of the chamberlain of the butchers, me and the chamberlain of the bakers. So somehow I got mad at these two gentlemen and took them out of their areas and put them in the butcher's area. We dreamt a dream on the same night. The gentleman, I'm the cupbearer and chamberlain of the cupbearers, and the chamberlain of the bakers, we both had a dream. We dreamt a dream on the same night. And he, according to the interpretation of his dream, did we dream? So everybody dreamed whatever, and then there was with us a youth, a Hebrew, a slave of the chamberlain of the butchers. We related the dreams to him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. And it was that just as he interpreted for us, so did it happen. He restored to my post, and him, the chamberlain of the bakers, he hanged. John getting good, ain't it? Oh my gosh. So Pharaoh sent and summoned Joseph. I guess that's all he needed to hear. Say what? Pharaoh's, let me see. Let's see. Oh yeah. So, oh, and by the way, when he said there was a youth in the jail with us in the thing, it says youth, but according to the Rashi, it's kind of a demeaning, like there was this fool around here, this young fool that helped us, kind of like demeaning. It's not giving him the respect that it sound like in English. So Pharaoh sent and summoned Joseph, and they rushed him from the pit. He was in a pit. He shaved his hair and changed his clothes, and he came to Pharaoh to be respectable looking. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I dreamt a dream. There's no one here who can interpret it. And now I heard it said of you that you hear a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh saying, whoa, that's beyond me. God will respond to Pharaoh's welfare. And in Hebrew it says to Pharaoh's shalom. And shalom is the rectification of things. So then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, behold, I was standing upon the bank of the canal, and behold, out of the canal there emerged 7 cows of robust flesh and beautiful form, and they were grazing in the swamp. And then behold, 7 other cows emerged after them, haggard and very poor form of emaciated flesh. I've never seen anything like them in all the land of Egypt for poorness. Never seen nothing like that. And the emaciated and the poor cows, they ate up the first 7 healthy cows. And the cows came inside of them, but it wasn't even apparent that they had even eaten the emaciated ones. It didn't even look like they ate the healthy ones. For their appearance remained as poor as at first. And then I awoke, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears of grain were sprouting on one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears of grain, withered, thin and scorched by the east wind, were growing after him. Then the thin ears of grain swallowed up the 7 good ears. And look, I said all this to the necromancers, but there was no one who could explain it to me. So Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh, it's one dream. What God is doing, it's one dream. So he told to Pharaoh, the 7 good cows, they are 7 years. And the 7 good ears, they are 7 years. It is one dream. Now, the 7 emaciated and poor cows who emerged after them, they are 7 years. And the 7 emaciated ears scorched by the east winds means that there shall be 7 years of famine. So this is the matter that I have spoken to Pharaoh. What God is doing, he has shown to Pharaoh. So just wanted to read. Niall, how you just gonna jump up here and start? So basically you had the same dream twice. According to Rashi, he's saying the same dream was twice, just like Hebrew poetry, as we spoke of. The things are repeated twice for emphasis. So he had the dream twice to emphasize how important it is to pay attention to this dream, that these things are going to happen. 7 emaciated cows, 7 jacked up ears of corn, 7 great looking cows, 7 beautiful ears of corn. And it doesn't mean that the length of time, because they each mean 7 years, these things are going to happen. It doesn't mean that's going to be 7 plus 7 plus 7. It's the same dream. 7 years of good, 7 years of famine. Just doubled up twice for emphasis. Okay, let's see here. So, now, and listen to this part. Let's see. So, where did I go here? Okay, so now we get more information on the dream. So, Joseph says, behold, we're in pursuit 29. The 7 years are coming of great abundance throughout all the land of Egypt. Then 7 years of famine will arise after them, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten. You won't even remember the good years. The famine will ravage the land, and the abundance will not be known in the land in the face of that subsequent famine, and it will be terribly severe. As for the repetition of the dream of Pharaoh 2 times, it's because the matter stands ready before God, and God is hastening to do it. Now, if you don't get off of me, I know y'all can't see him, but he is just trying to take over the book and everything. Say hi. Say bye. Okay. Cats, man. Trying to read in here. He's like, nah, that lap is for me. Okay. Pasuk 33. Now, let Pharaoh seek out, basically because you had this dream. Now, let me tell you how to help yourself. Let Pharaoh seek out a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed and let him appoint overseers of the land, and he shall prepare the land of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. So you're going to get this supervisor that's going to help you to plan out how you're going to take care of this during times of abundance. And what you're going to do is you need to let them gather all the food of those approaching good years. And then you're going to let them amass grain. Oh my gosh, Niall. And under Pharaoh's custody for the food in the cities and safeguarded. The food will be a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine, which will come to pass in the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish in the famine. And the matter appeared good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, could we find like this, like a man in whom is the Spirit of God? And I love that. I wrote it in my notes. It's like, Pharaoh is absolutely astonished at Joseph's interpretation. He gives it to Hashem, and not only the interpretation, but solutions with the interpretation. Like, it was a well put together package. He didn't even have to think what needs to be done. It was already told to him what to do, how to do it, God, who to find and do the job? Now, if you don't get off of me. Okay. Okay. We're on Pasuk 39. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has informed you of all this, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be charged over my house, and by your command shall all my people be sustained. Wow. Only by the throne shall I outrank you. And this is important because you will hear in the Talmud and other places commentaries where Joseph is called the king. And that's because in the Aramaic, there's a word that you'll see in the Hebrew that in this same word you can use it for king. So what Pharaoh is making him is just as good as saying he's king. Okay, can you? So excuse me, I just have to decap myself again because he's not really okay. He ain't really catching on today. So, and Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I've placed you in charge of all the land of Egypt. Can you imagine? I know not everybody's in the U.S., but it's like we know U.S. is a mighty and powerful nation, and just right now, we have President Biden. Well, we kind of actually have this. We have right now President Biden, but imagine President Biden putting someone that he sees super, super wise and understand what's happening in his stead to rule over the land and all that comes with it. It's just amazing. I have placed you in charge of all the land of Egypt, and Pharaoh removed his ring from upon his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and then he dressed him in garments of linen and placed a gold chain upon his neck, and he had him ride in his second chariot, and they proclaimed before him, Avarech. This is the one that sounds like a king in Aramaic. So he had a big gold chain. He was rocking in a chariot of Merkabah, the second Merkabah. He's dressed out. He's decked out to the nines, looking like royalty. And he is riding before all the leaders of Egypt, probably some people as well, so that they can understand. So that they can understand this transfer of power, this shared power, if you will, so that when he's saying something, those people will obey, because so Pharaoh's doing this right. So then he appoints him over all the land of Egypt. Yeah, get down, Niall. Here, go check on your brother. So Pharaoh says to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you, no man may lift up his hand or his foot. Why would he need to lift up his hand or his foot? Anyway, that's how they say it. I don't know. Lift up his hand or his foot in all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephanath Paneah, and he gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, chief of On, for a wife. Let me see. Thus Joseph emerged. Okay, I just wanted to see. So, and the Rashi says the name that Pharaoh gave him means decipherer of the cryptic. And wow. Okay, interesting. Oh my gosh, Niall. Hold on, it's just I can't rock right. Like you got to move. You don't understand. Go. Okay. All right, let me see here. So, thus Joseph emerged over the land of Egypt, and Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, 30. Joseph left Pharaoh's presence, and he passed through the entire land of Egypt. Wow. Wowee. The land, now I'm not sure if he passed over the land to assess the land, or if he passed over the land, the whole entire land, with this Averech kind of thing going on, so everybody knew what was going on. I don't really see a note on that. I'm really curious, but there's no note on that. So the land, we're in Pasuk 47, produced by handfuls during the 7 years of abundance. It's a funny way to say it. What does that mean? The land produced handfuls of, little by little did they store away. That's what Rashi said. That's what this means. And he gathered all the food of the 7 years that came to pass in the land of Egypt, and he placed food in the cities, the food of the field that was around each city he placed within it. And Joseph amassed grain like the sands of the sea, very much until he ceased counting, for there is no number. He couldn't even count how much grain they were able to amass. So now, to Joseph were born 2 sons. So we just got a glimpse of what he did little by little, amassing it so nobody could feel it, that they were hungry in those good years. Now we get a cut back to his life. So we see he has an Egyptian wife, and Joseph were born 2 sons. Now I know you may have heard that his wife is the Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar. And I just want to go back. There's a note here that says Potiphar, he is Potiphar. But he is called Potiphar here because he became impotent by himself, because he desired Joseph for homosexual relations. Yeah, let me keep going. Okay, yes. Okay, so Joseph were born 2 sons when the year of famine had not set in whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, chief of On, bore to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God had made me forget all my hardship and all my father's household. And the second of the name he called Ephraim, for God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. The 7 years of abundance that came to pass in the land of Egypt ended, and the 7 years of famine began approaching, just as Joseph had said, and there was famine in the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And let's see, all the land of Egypt hungered. It says, all the land of Egypt hungered, for the produce that they had stored away rotted, except for whatever Joseph put away. So like if you try to be slick and store some stuff away for yourself, your stuff rotted. But whatever Joseph had set away, that stayed. Interesting, isn't it? So the people cried out to Pharaoh for bread. So Pharaoh said to all of Egypt, go to Joseph. Whatever he says to you, you'll do. And the famine spread over all the face of the land, and Joseph opened all that he had within them and sold to Egypt. And the famine became severe in the land of Egypt, and all the earth came to Egypt to Joseph to buy provisions, for the famine had become severe in all the earth. He had enough provisions to not only sell to Egypt, but the whole world. I'm just to pause for effect on that. Okay. Well, mein Gott. Okay, so chapter 42. Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt. And I'm going to read the note here because this is hilarious. Wow. So according to Rashi, it says, from where did he see? Is it not true that he did not see, but rather he heard? As it says, behold, I have heard. So then what is it, this is still Rashi talking, what does it mean by, and Jacob saw? He saw through the Holy One, the holy lens, that he still has hope in Egypt. But it was not actual prophecy to let him know clearly that this was Joseph. Just wanted to read that note. Thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt. So Jacob says to his sons, why do you make yourselves conspicuous? I think in the King James it was like, what you stand here looking at me for? And he said, behold, I've heard that there are provisions in Egypt. So go down there and purchase for us from there, that we may live and not die. So Joseph's brothers, 10 of them, went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob did not send along with his brothers, for he said, lest disaster befall him. So the sons of Israel came to buy provisions among their arrivals, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And let's see, amongst the arrivals, they were hiding themselves. They should not recognize. Trying to see what Rashi's saying about this arrival For their father had commanded them that they should not all appear at the same entrance of the city, rather in Egypt, rather that all the 10 brothers should enter one through his own entrance, so that the evil eye should not have effect on them. For all of them were handsome, and all of them were mighty. The evil eye. Okay. So that note about the evil eye says the human mind has the ability to trigger forces that can cause damage or destruction to physical objects. Some suggest that the mechanism through which the evil eye operates is an ethical one. The blessings bestowed by God upon an individual should not serve as a source of anguish to others. So if one allows his blessings, that is wealth or children, etc., to cause pain to others less fortunate, and certainly if one flaunts them, one arouses a divine judgment against himself and a reevaluation of his fitness for those blessings. This can lead to their eventual loss. So if you did not understand what the evil eye is, there you go. And that is exactly how Rav Bernstein taught us as well. Okay, so so we're going to go to Pasuk 6. Now Joseph, he was the ruler over all the land. He was the provider to all the people of the land. Joseph's brothers came and they bowed to him, faces to the ground. Joseph saw his brothers and he recognized them, and he acted like a stranger toward them and spoke with them harshly. He said to them, "From where do you come?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Joseph recalled the dreams that he had dreamt about them. And he said to them, "You are spies. To see the land's nakedness, you have come. That's why you came here." And let me see. When it says he dreamed about them, it means not for them, as it often means. He realized that they had been fulfilled, the dreams. For see now how they had bowed to him. Remember in his dream, all the stars or this corn or something had bowed to him. I can't remember what it was. So in Pasuk 10, they said to him, "No, my lord, no. Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. We've been truthful. Your servants have never been spies." And Joseph said to them, "No, but the land's nakedness have you come to see." And they said, we your servants, we're 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. The youngest is with our father today, and one is gone. But Joseph said to them, "This is what I have been saying to you. You are spies. By this shall you be tested. By Pharaoh's life, you will not leave from here except if your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let them take your brother, and you shall remain imprisoned, so that your words may be tested whether truth is with you. But if not, by Pharaoh's life, you are spies." Then he herded them into a ward for a 3-day period. And if you've been rocking with us for any time, you know that 3 days is a special number where you know something's going to happen. And according to Rav Bernstein, who we're doing the Joshua study with, anytime you see the numbers, this same number repeated, it's a number to make you wake up to know something's going to happen at the end of it, some kind of reveal. Okay, whether a small reveal, big reveal, but something. Pay attention to the number. Joseph, Pasuk 18, said to them, "On the 3rd day, do this and live. I fear God. If you are truthful people, let one of your brothers be imprisoned in your ward house," meaning the house of prisoners, in which you are presently imprisoned. Sounds like they're on house arrest. "And you go bring provisions for the hunger of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me, so your words will be verified, and you will not die." And they did so. They then said to one another, "Indeed, we are guilty concerning our brother, inasmuch as we saw his heartfelt anguish when he pleaded with us, and we did not listen. That's why this anguish has come upon us." So then I think, like, why are we going through this right now? We just want to buy food. So, let's see. Okay, so verse 22, Reuben spoke up to them saying, "Did I not speak to you saying, do not sin against that boy? But you wouldn't listen, and his blood as well, behold, is being avenged." Now they did not know that Joseph understood, for the interpreter was between them. He turned away from them and wept. He returned to them. Wow, man. Wow. And he spoke to them. He took Simeon from them and imprisoned Simeon before their eyes. So Simeon, according to Rashi, is actually the one that cast Joseph into the pit. And he's the one who said to Levi, look, the dreamer is coming. So alternatively, Joseph intended to separate him from Levi, lest the two of them conspire to kill him. So as they killed the people of Shechem. So Simeon and Levi is a combination that don't nobody want to see coming together. And when it says he imprisoned them before their eyes, he imprisoned them only before their eyes. But once the brothers departed, Joseph brought Simeon out and gave him food and drink. That's what Rashi is saying that means. So, let's see here. 25. Pasuk 25. Joseph commanded that they fill their vessels with grain and return their money, each one's to his sack. There we go. And to give them provisions for the journey. And so he did for them. They lifted their purchase onto their donkeys and departed from there. The one opened his sack to give feed to his donkey at the inn, and he saw his money, and behold, it was in the mouth of his saddlebag. And he said to his brothers, my money, it's been returned, and behold, it too is in my saddlebag. And their hearts sank, and they turned trembling to one another. What is this that God has done to us? What's the money he's talking? He's talking about the money to pay for the food, because Joseph did send him back with provisions, but he put his money back as well. And they came to Jacob their father to the land of Canaan, and they told him all that happened to him, and saying, the man, the Lord of the land, spoke harshly with us and considered us as if we were spying out the land. But we said to him, we're truthful men. We've never been spies. We're 12 brothers, sons of our father. One's gone, and the youngest is with our father today in the land of Canaan. Then the man, the Lord of the land, said to this, by this I will know whether you are truthful people. One of your brothers leave with me, and what is needed for the hunger of your households, take and go. And bring your youngest brother to me, so I'll know that you are not spies, and you are truthful. I'll give your brother to you when you will be free, and then you will be free to circulate about the land. So this he's Rashi saying, so you can go around, meaning all instances of the word Saharim, merchants. You can merchandise, you can commerce. That's what going around means. You can travel around, do your business, whatever your business is. Pasuk 35. So it happened as they were emptying their sacks, and behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack, the money they were supposed to use to pay for the goods. And they saw their bundles of money, they and their father, and they were terrified. And their father said to them, you have bereaved me. Joseph's gone, Simeon's gone, and now you would take away Benjamin? Upon me has it all fallen. And just this part where it says, I'm the one whom you've bereaved. This teaches us that Jacob was suspicious of his sons, that they might have actually killed Simeon. That's why he's using the term, you've bereaved me. Or at least sold him like they did Joseph, but do something diabolical. And this is interesting because it kind of lets us a little bit into Jacob's heart. Like, he probably was suspicious of them jokers all these years. You know what I mean? And you can see it coming out here. Okay, so then Reuben told his father, saying, you may slay my two sons if I fail to bring him back to you. Put him in my care, and I will return him to you. But he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother's dead. This is Jacob talking. Nope. And he alone has remained. Should disaster befall him on the journey which you will take, then you will have brought down my hoariness, my old age, in sorrow to the grave. No. So Rashi's saying he didn't accept Reuben's words. This is a foolish firstborn son, Reuben is. He proposes to kill his sons. Are they his sons and not my own sons? Rashi's saying Jacob's reasoning. Let's get me a little coffee. Get some of your coffee too. It's good. All right, and we're going to go into this final chapter. We're in Perek 43. So this is really, 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 really interesting. I love this. So the famine was severe in the land. When they had finished eating the provisions which they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, Dang, this wasn't like a quick turnaround. They ate all the provisions that they brought back. Wow. Their father said to them, "Go back, buy us a bit of food." But Judah told him, saying, "The man sternly warned us, 'Do not see my face without your brother being with you.'" Wow. They don't even think about it until they finish the food? Like, what? Verse 3. But, okay, we did that. Let me turn the page. Sorry. Pasuk 4. "If you will send our brother with us, we'll go down and buy you food. But if you will not send, we will not go down. For the man said," he told us, Daddy, "do not see my face without your brother being with you." Then Israel, Jacob at his finest, gets his name Israel, "Why did you treat me badly, telling the man that you have another brother?" And they said, "Well, the man persistently asked us about our relatives, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you a brother?' And we told him according to these words. Could we have known that he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" Then Judah said to Israel's father, "Send the lad with me, and let us arise and go, so we will live, and we will not die. Neither we nor you nor our children. I will guarantee him. Of my own hand, you can demand him. If I do not bring him back to you and stand him before you, then I will have sinned to you for all time." And this means, if you know how this works in Judaism, this means for the Olam Haba, for the world to come. Okay. And for Pasuk 10, for had we not delayed, by now we could have returned twice. Yeah, that's what I want to know, Judah. Why y'all was delaying? Like, what's going on? So had we not been delayed, Rashi's saying, basically Judah's pointing out Jacob, like, had we not been delayed because of you not wanting to send a boy, we would have already returned with Simeon, and you would not have suffered all of these days. Which would be the understanding for why he's saying, "You will bring my hoariness down to the grave," and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we are on Pasuk 11. "So Israel, their father, said to them, 'If it must be so, do this. Take up the land's glory in your vessels and bring it down to the man as a tribute. A bit of balsam, give him some honey, some wax and locusts, some pistachio and almonds, and take double the money in your hand. And the money that was returned in the mouth of your saddlebags, return it in your hands.'" This is really cool because we're used to seeing Jacob with just like sheep and stuff, goats and whatnot. But we actually see here, he's in the land of Israel. You got balsam, honey, wax, lotus, pistachio, almonds. So it's like, buy some of that stuff up and take it there too. So that's really cool. Okay. And perhaps, he said, Israel is saying, perhaps it was an oversight. "Take your brother and arise, return to the man." So he gives the permission to take Benjamin. "May El Shaddai grant you mercy before the man, and may he be released to you." So El Shaddai is a term you call Hashem when it's talking about provision, the provider. So Rashi's making the note, "Now you lack nothing but prayer. Behold, I pray for you." El Shaddai, the name, is the equivalent of Shaddai, that he is sufficient. It implies he who is granting of mercy, there is sufficiency. And who is sufficient in the ability to give. And may he grant you mercy. That is in its simple meaning. And it's, let's see. Okay, now I don't want to go down that rabbit trail. So may El Shaddai grant you mercy before the man, and may he be released to you, your other brother, and Benjamin. And as for me, as I have been bereaved, so I am bereaved. So the men took this tribute, and they took double the money. They're probably moving fast as all get out before he changed his mind. And they took Benjamin, and they arose and descended to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And Joseph saw Benjamin with them, and he said to the one in charge of his house, "Bring the men into the house, and to have meat slaughtered and to prepare. For with me will these men dine at noon." And the man did as Joseph said. And the man brought the men to Joseph's house, and the men became frightened because they were being brought to Joseph's house. And they said, "It's because of the money. It's because the money was replaced in our saddlebags. Earlier we've been brought." I like how they do that instant problem solving. Like, it's gotta be because it's because we are being brought here to bring a charge against us and to cast libel down against us and take us as slaves along with our donkeys. And that's an interesting point, because we do see, especially if you're familiar with the Christian scriptures, you do see many times where people are brought to the leader's house. They have this area where they can actually have like a court session and charge people there. So we've seen that in the with the whole trial of Yeshua in the Christian Gospels, that he's brought to the high priest's house. So this makes this idea of being brought to someone's house for charge is a viable one in my mind. I can see that connection. I don't know. Write down in the comments what you think, or if you have another example. So, and to cast down libel upon us and take us as slaves along with our donkeys, they approached the man who was in charge of Joseph's house and spoke to him at the entrance of the house. And they said, "If you please, my lord, we had indeed come down originally to buy food, but it happened when we arrived at the inn and opened our saddlebags that, behold, one's money was in the mouth of his saddlebag, and it was our own money in its full amount. So we brought it back in our own hand, and we brought back other money down to our hand to buy food. We don't know who put our money in our saddlebags." And he replied, "Peace unto you. Fear not. Your God and the God of your father has put a hidden treasure in your saddlebags. Your payment has reached me." And he brought Simeon out to them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and he gave water, and they washed their feet, and he gave feed to their donkeys, and he prepared the tribute before Joseph's coming at noon. For they had heard that they were to eat a meal here. And I'm actually really intrigued by this man that's talking like, "Your God, and it's reached me," and all. Like, what is this? So Rashi has a note here where it says, "Your God, through your merit, if your own merit is insufficient, the God of your father, but if it's the merit of your father, he gave you hidden treasure." I don't understand what it means. "Peace be with you. They let themselves be drawn, and they follow him. They prepared, they decorated with pretty vessels." And okay, I don't see any notes about that. Let's keep it moving. Okay, to eat a meal there, Pasuk 26. "Joseph came into the house, and they brought him the tribute that was in their hands into the house, and they prostrated themselves to him toward the ground. And he inquired after their welfare, and he said, 'Is your aged father, of whom you spoke, at peace? Is he still alive?' And they replied, 'Your servant, our father, is at peace. He still lives.' And they bowed and they prostrated themselves. Then he raised his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and he said, Is that your youngest brother? The one who you spoke to me?' And he said, 'God be gracious to you, my son.' And Joseph rushed, because his compassion for his brother had been stirred, and he wanted to weep. So he went into the room and he wept there. He washed his face and went out and restrained himself and said, 'Set out the bread.' And they set for him." This is so touching. "By himself, for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians who ate with them by themselves. The Egyptians couldn't bear to eat bread with the Hebrews, for it was loathsome to Egyptians." Wow. Let me take a little drink on that. Segregation, huh? Yeah, segregated eating areas, because they didn't want to eat with the Hebrews. Wow. "They were seated before him, the firstborn according to his seniority, and the youngest according to his youth. The men looked at one another in astonishment." So basically, Joseph would strike his goblet and call out, "Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, sons of one mother, recline at the table in this order, for it is the order of your births." So did Joseph do with all the other brothers. Once he reached Benjamin, he said, "Let this one who has no mother, and I have no mother, let him sit next to me." So Rashi's saying, pay attention. The brothers are astonished. Like, how could he know even the order of our births? And he's sitting us according to what? Amazing. Don't sleep on that verse. And Pasuk 34, he passed portions before him to them, and Benjamin's portion was greater than the portions of all them fivefold. And they drank and imbibed with him. Wow. So if everybody got 1 steak, Benjamin got 5 steaks. You know what I mean? If they got 2 cups of Kool-Aid, Benjamin got 10. Okay, 10 cups of Kool-Aid, 5 steaks. Can you imagine? And he needed the table, like, I'm just like, wow. Okay, let's get on to Parak 44. Let me just check if there's any more notes. Then he instructed the one in charge of his house, saying, fill the men's saddlebags with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his saddlebag. And my goblet, the silver goblet, place that in the mouth of the youngest one's saddlebag, along with the money of his purchase. And he did Joseph's word as he had spoken. So this is without the brothers knowing. So the day dawned, and the men were sent off, they and their donkeys. They had left the city. They hadn't gone far. And Joseph said to the one in charge of his house, arise, chase after the men. When you overtake them, you shall say to them, why do you repay evil for good? Is this not the one from which my master drinks, and with which he regularly divines? He divines. You have done evil in how you acted. Hold up, let me pause. What? Divines? Didn't say anything. Okay. You have done evil in how you acted. Okay, so Pasuk 6, he, that guy, overtakes them and spoke to them the words as he was scripted. And he says to them, why does my Lord, and they said to him, why does my Lord say such things? It would be unseemly for your servant to do such a thing. Why would we do that? And behold, the money that we found in the mouth of our saddlebags, we brought that back to you from the land of Canaan. Remember when how could we have stolen from your master's house silver or gold? But the one among your servants with whom it is found shall die, and we also become slaves from our Lord. Like, why will we? What? He said, even now, as you say, so it is. The one with whom it is found shall be a slave to me, but the rest of you shall be exonerated. They hurried and lowered each man his saddlebag to the ground. They opened each man his saddlebag, and he searched, and he began with the oldest and ended with the youngest. And the goblet was found in Benjamin's saddlebag. They rent their garments, whoosh, tore them to pieces. Each one reloaded his donkey, and they returned to the city. That was really fast. See, okay, so Rashi says, he began with the oldest so that they should not sense that he knew where it was. Each one reloaded his donkey. They were men of strength. They did not need to help each other with the load. And they returned to the city. It was a metropolis. Yet the verse says to the city, the merest city. But the word is used to imply that no more significant. I don't know. So they don't really say. I mean, it's just that. Yeah, I don't know. They returned to the city. Judah arrived with his brothers to Joseph's house. Okay, so they returned back to where Joseph is. That makes sense. Okay. Immediately. This is like customs, getting caught in customs. Judah arrived with his brothers to Joseph's house, and he was still there. They fell to the ground before him. Joseph said to them, what is this deed that you have done? Do you not realize that a man like me can foretell events? Hold up, I'm a little bit confused. So, verse 13, they tore their garments, each one reloaded his donkey, and they returned to the city. Judah arrived with his brothers to Joseph's house, and he was still there. That means, he meaning Joseph was still there because he was waiting for them, Rashi's saying. I see. And then Joseph says to them, what is this deed that you have done? Do you not realize that a man like me can foretell events? So Rashi's saying this means, do you not realize that a man as accomplished as I knows how to foretell events, as to how to ascertain through knowledge and through logic and understanding that you stole the goblet? So Judah said, what can we say to my Lord? How can we speak and how can we justify ourselves? God has found the sin of your servants. Here we are. We're ready to be slaves to my Lord, both we and the one in whose hand the goblet was found. But Joseph replied, it would be unseemly for me to do this. The man in whose possession the goblet was found, he shall be my slave. And as for you, go up in peace to your father. Wow. Okay, let's do the Haftarah from Mikeitz. Wow. Okay. The Haftarah is from 1 Kings chapter 3:15 through chapter 4, verse 1. Wow. Whew. Okay. Solomon awoke, and behold, it had been a dream. He had came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of my Lord, and he brought up burnt offerings, and he made peace offerings, and he made a feast of all his servants for all his servants. Then 2 women, innkeepers, came to the king and stood before him. One woman said, "Please, my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I gave birth while with her in the house. And on the 3rd day after I gave birth, the woman gave birth as well. We were together. No outsider was with us in the house. Only the 2 of us were in the house. And the son of this woman died in the night, because she laid on him. She arose during the night and took my son from next to me while your maidservant was asleep, and laid him in her bosom. And her dead son she laid in my bosom. And when I got up in the morning to nurse my son, behold, he was dead. And then when I studied him in the morning, look, that was not my son to whom I had given birth." And the other woman said, "This is just you. Lies, lies, lies. My son is the live one. Her son is the dead one." But this one said, the other one said, she's not telling the truth. Your son is the dead one. My son is the live one. And they went on speaking before the king. The king said, "So this one claims this is my son who is alive, and your son is the dead one. And this one claims it's not so. Your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one." Okay. So the king said, "Fetch me my sword." And they brought the sword before the king. The king said, "Cut the living child in 2 and give half to one and half to the other." And a woman whose son was alive said to the king, because her compassion was aroused for her son, and she said, "Please, please, stop. My lord, give her the living newborn and do not put it to death." But the other one said, "Neither mine nor yours shall he be. Cut." The king spoke up and said, Give her the living newborn and do not put it to death. She's the mother." All Israel heard the judgment that the king rendered, and they felt awe for the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the God was within him to do justice. And so King Solomon was king over all Israel. That is the Torah portion for Mikeitz. I hope you enjoyed that. That was amazing. We're going to do the next Torah Parsha for next week, which is, I guess we're going to find out what's Vayigash. We're going to find out what's going to be happening over here with Benjamin. And thank you again to all the new subscribers. Please, if I said something misspoke or you didn't understand, you got a question, write it down below. If you're giving a comment to give us more clarity and understanding, make sure you put your references down so we can learn as well. And thank you for being part of this online family, Habruta. And I wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a Shavua Tov. And see you next time.